Hi, John.
Hi, Michael.
What if there was a game that you could go to a casino in Vegas and sit down at a computer and have to figure out if it was just going to turn off or not?
Like you're an IT guy, or like you're.
Like it's like a computer No, it's just like you sit down at a random computer.
Okay, so like you're
You,
like
you,
a tourist, maybe like Italy.
yeah,
Okay.
and you just have to place a bet. Like, is this computer going to turn off within 5 minutes of you sitting down at it or not? And you can use it. You can use it to do whatever you want on it.
Just check your grandkids like Facebook
Yeah,
picture, or
yeah.
you have to like put a $5 bill into the machine. Is there like a payout? Like, or is
Yeah, there's a payout. Yeah, if you guess correctly, there's a payout.
okay. You guess. So okay. So when you turn on the computer to check this, is there like do you like put in like a bet, like a time bet?
It's like a 5 minute. It's just 5 minutes.
Okay. So, but if the computer doesn't shut off after 5 minutes, say you get like $10 or 20 or 25 or something.
If you bet that it won't, you can also bet that it will.
Okay. This is like roulette.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Because I wasn't sure if like you're basically walking into like the internet cafe portion of a casino, and just like you want to use it for 5 minutes, but you're not sure if it'll work. So the gamble is you put the money in, and it might just happen to work, and you don't win, other than you get to like check your email.
Yeah.
Or it might just turn off, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm starting a new line of like cyber casinos. I feel like gambling has been stuck in the 18th and 19th century for too long.
Yeah, it's a little bit antiquated. I think there's a lot more they could do with the gambling scene.
Yeah. Like, what if you could what if there was a table where you could sit down and download a torrent of a popular movie, and you have to decide whether or not the DMCA is going to get you.
Right. Yeah, or you could go into a chat room and start like uploading pictures of like naked children.
We're encouraging really terrible behavior in the name of winning money.
That's I keep not thinking of it as winning money. I keep thinking of it as what can you get away with. But like, yeah.
No, yeah, there's money at stake.
Okay, yeah. How much do you bet? Oh,
how many pictures can you upload? Double or nothing.
There probably is some casino out there where this is a thing.
Out in international waters.
Right, exactly. That's the real Pirate Bay, somewhere the Straits of Gibraltar. They have a floating island.
So how are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a day off, and I've been making it a point to like genuinely like try to do nothing. I played my PS4 for a couple hours today. I took a nap. I went to the gym. I ate lunch with a friend. I came back and watched Gotham and played Final Fantasy Explorers on the 3DS for a couple hours. Had some dinner, and then now I'm doing this. So it's been a nice, like, genuinely chilled evening. This Michael lost the bet. His computer randomly turned off. So you guys got to hear about what I'm doing. And because we have nobody, I don't think there's anybody watching just yet. We have people who listen to this, which is nobody, who goes into that actual podcast site to listen to this. And I feel bad that Radon's frozen. And this might actually cut this evening somewhat short because this might just keep happening all night long. But he just messaged me and said I lost the bet. So there you have it. Anyway, Cyberzone, January 27th, 2016. So this is an episode that pertains to women's rights, which I'm a big advocate for. So we'll talk about that someday. Anyway, so for those of you watching, the Cyberzone is a podcast where we talk about literally anything. Like it's sort of video game centric, but it's primarily just a silly, fun kind of like, let's just talk about ridiculous things for hours kind of thing. Okay. And it might be video games, might be movies, might be weird scientific facts. It might be the facts of life. It might be about TV shows. Might be about TV shows merging. About various types of casino scenarios. That actually, I think, was the very first episode of the Cyber Zone we ever did began with a casino. So it was in this very room. I've done Cyber Zone from several rooms in my house, and we try to keep this going every Wednesday. And I'm your host, John. My other host is Michael Radon, Mr. Radon. And he's the kind of gentleman who he does whatever it takes. Okay, you get me? He does what needs to be done. So if he's not around, things ain't getting done. We've been friends for a long time, over 10 years, and decided that we would just start doing this because we like doing things. We like talking. We like having fun. We used to talk about stuff randomly, just online for hours and hours, and decided, well, what if we recorded it or broadcast it or did something of the sort, and ultimately concluded that, well, this is how it goes. This is what you do. I'm going to go ahead and actually make a quick post to let people know that this is starting, in case nobody knows that it's starting. Well, I don't know how to use Facebook, so we'll see what's actually happening. All right. Okay. So, Cyberzone, Turkish. I'll explain more of that when Radon gets back. We'll discuss it more in depth. Otherwise, it's gonna be me just chatting with myself, which, that's fine. So how's everybody? What are people doing? Just chilling? Watching movies? Watching TV? Watching the news? Reading a newspaper? That's the thing. A lot of different options. You can do a lot of different things in this day and age. Well, let's wait for Radon to show up, because who knows what's going to happen. We can keep talking if you'd like. Nobody's here. I don't think anybody's watching. Not yet. Radon's back.
John, if you die in the casino, you die for real.
That's right. It's it's like, was it .hack? Or like, yeah. But no. If you die in the game, in the movie, what movie is that? Was there a movie where you die for real?
Gamer?
Oh, man. That's the one with Michael C. Hall, right?
No, that's the one with Gerard Butler.
That's right.
No. If you die in the game, you die in real life was Stay Alive.
Stay Alive. Okay. Good. I'm nervous that you're gonna disappear again.
I am too.
So
normally it only happens like once a day, but tonight it happened like 8 times, and only once we started doing this.
Is it like a bad power supply, you think?
That's one of the things it could be.
Okay, that sucks. So I was telling the audience that is not here just yet is that this the show might be cut short ultimately if these things end up happening, which is the way
sometimes they do.
Yep. I mean, there's been nights where my reception and my computer has been so bad that we had to just stop because I couldn't connect, essentially.
Yeah.
It happens. So anyway, what were we talking about before your computer died?
Uploading child porn?
Right. The FBI is going to flag this podcast. He was going to see you eating sandwiches and me with Metroids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well. I was going to explain tonight's title for the podcast.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what you thought about it first. Okay. You can always just play something for a little bit, just end up streaming tonight, streaming a video game being played. Might make things easier. Because this is very unfortunate, everybody. This is, one of those things that you don't want to happen, but it seems to be happening, and nothing can be done about it. So, any questions? If you're linked here through the event page, there should be a Q&A bit. Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to answer the phone while we're doing this. Hello. Yo. That's really funny. I'm on the podcast. Yes. I'm on the podcast right now, but I'll answer your questions. That's fine. No. Yeah, you can just erase that. It's no problem. And then just type in like the raw numbers, everything. If there's $10, $20 bills, you just type in 10 for the 20 section. Pretty easy. Yeah. No, actually, you do that. At the end of each night, you'll type in what the total deposit is. Somebody's watching now. Somebody's watching me on the phone with you because Radon's computer keeps disconnecting. Yeah, and so I'm just on the podcast talking to myself, but I'm talking to you currently. So, well, they left. But yeah, you enter in the numbers that we did for that night, so I can keep track of it. And then whatever the credit card numbers were, which you should be able to check from the portal page. Did Chris show you that one? Okay. So there might be a link up at the top for like portal VGS or something of the sort. Type in portal and see if it auto connects for you. Radon's gone and 2 people are watching me chat with you on the phone. It's really funny. This is tonight's podcast. Is there like a dashboard that has you log in? Basically, yeah. And you'll click the cash report and you'll see what kind of credit card sales there are, and you'll type in that for the day. And then hopefully the cash sales will mirror what you've counted down in the drawer. Should be down at the very bottom. If you check in the lower left, there should be like a cash report on like that little sidebar on the left-hand side. Okay, so click that and then scroll all the way down to the bottom, and it should give you all the West numbers, the total cash for the day and total credit card for the day. 3 people are watching this. They're watching me troubleshoot work questions while Radon's computer reboots for the 3rd time this podcast. It's really funny. Oh, good. Yeah, no, that's terrific. Oh, okay. Gotcha. And I got stuff to do tonight. Yeah. Except for this, I'm going to go meet somebody for some food. So I'm sorry. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye. Okay. That's really funny. So while Radon's rebooting, I'm troubleshooting some stuff at work for Michael, our new manager. However, if the podcast continues to go this route, which is Radon's computer continually restarts, you know what? I'm gonna get Nico on here. I'm gonna get our good buddy Nico on because my guys. All right, I'm gonna send him a link. Radon.
Hi.
Hi.
New theory.
Yeah.
Anytime I talk about something that would potentially get me in trouble with the FBI, my computer automatically shuts itself off.
They click the big power switch in their office. That's a good theory. For a contingency plan, I'm actually inviting Nico in.
Okay.
Just in case.
All right.
So that way we can have a 3-way.
No, you're going to get me shut down again.
Right, exactly. Yep. Yeah, we'll do the three of us because I figure at the very least having any sort of dialogue would probably be. I don't know if I do really well. It's also really funny because when you left, Michael Graham had to give me a call to get some works information stuff. So when people started coming in the room, I'm just sitting here talking on my phone, troubleshooting computer stuff at the store for Michael, and that's it. It's the only thing that's happening in the cyber zone. So this has been a heck of a I was going to call it an issue, an episode.
Yeah, it's both.
It is an issue and an episodic issue. We should do that. Release one issue in like 6 parts.
Mm-hmm.
Magazine. Infinite Power. Like you get like a piece every 4 days, and it's like 3 pages.
Maybe we make it so if everyone shares our link, for every 100 shares, you get another 5 seconds of audio.
It delays the FBI by like 20 seconds. Okay, this is gonna be good. So anyway, welcome to the Cyber Zone. Hi. What is your what do you believe that the title tonight means?
Well, it's like a Wheel of Fortune before and after, right? Kind of.
Kind of.
Because there's Turkish delight.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Rapper's delight.
There's Rapper's delight and there's Turkish delight. That's correct.
What I think it is that it's a reference to the band D-Light, famous for Groovers in the Heart. Right?
Well, yeah.
And people confuse DJ Dimitri as being Turkish.
Correct.
But he's not. He's from Kiev, USSR.
That's right. People make a mistake constantly. So, joke's on them.
Yep. That's what it's to clarify that long-standing myth.
So we had a lot of people have been talking about that for a while now. So.
It's been a hot button on this show, and I think it's time we put it to bed once and for all.
Right. Give the people what they want. They want the facts. There we go. So, anybody who's watching the Cyber Zone right now, I want to introduce you to my good friend Nicola Emerson Gutierrez. Nico. Oh, hold on 1 second. It says you're muted. Check your volume up in the up at the top.
I am.
Okay.
It's got really robotic for a moment. I couldn't understand anything. But I heard Gutierrez, so I thought my name was said.
Okay, yes. I was briefly introducing you. Nico is somebody that I met who came to the store several years ago as just, hanging out for the Balloon Fiesta with some family, passing through town, doing the thing, and we started chatting. Turns out he runs one of the best musical YouTube channels I've ever been to.
Aw.
Yep. Hey, man. You do a good job. And so we started talking, and, it's been a good exchange back and forth. We've been talking for several years now, and, you were on the show about like a year and a half ago.
Yep.
Been a while. It's funny, though, because even like though it was a year and a half ago, that's still like only 6 episodes of the Cyber Zone. Because we.
That was a few. Just I was awaiting my return. I didn't expect it to be in a contingency plan, but that's okay. I'll take what I get, what I can get.
I'm actually very glad to have you. An opportunity had knocked, and I know we hadn't actually talked for a little while, so
You've been so busy.
You volunteered. Hey, man, and yeah, there's been a lot going on, so it's nice to get a chance to relax a little bit and calm down.
Yeah, same with Michael. I only get to, talk with him, when he does his streams.
Right.
That's true.
It's true. I love the truth.
And right now I can't talk because I have a sore in my mouth and my computer keeps shutting down.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the world is against us today.
So whatever you do, don't say anything that the FBI would take objection to.
Right, exactly. I'll shut down Michael's connection.
I'll go away. Unless you want to get rid of me.
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, let's talk about video games because that's what we're usually here to do. I know we talk about ape buttholes and whale scrotums and things like that, and there's a place for that. The Cyber Zone is the place. But to start, we'll go ahead and discuss more in depth gaming.
I love games.
I love games.
I've played games.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I have yet to play one.
I can spell it.
So let's do a quick check and see what everybody's been playing. Radon, start with you. Because sequentially, I'm going to go at the bottom where it's Radon, Nico, and then me.
Oh, okay. My order is different. I have me and then you and then Nico. But
well, time to get a new computer.
Yep. What have I been? This week so far, I haven't been playing a whole lot.
Okay.
But last week, let's see. Rocket League, of course, has been taking up most of my spare gaming time.
Oh yes.
Recently. And there's something else that I've been playing a lot lately, and I can't think of it. But Rocket League is the main thing. I was gonna play some Mario Maker tonight, but the servers were down for maintenance, so I couldn't do that. That was really frustrating.
Have you finished your level, by the way?
Mm-mm.
I'm checking and nothing's showing up, and I'm getting upset.
I'm sorry.
I'm waiting for that fresh hotness.
Oh, okay. Well, it's like the hot coffee mod, but in Mario form.
Okay, I have that installed already, then, so we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm excited to play some new games coming soon.
To a theater near you.
Yeah, in IMAX.
What new games on IMAX?
Street Fighter V comes out in just a scant 2.5 weeks.
I'm very excited. When do one of your roommates have a PS4?
No, but pretty much everyone that I game with on Friday nights has been like, "Can I bring my PS4 for Street Fighter V?" I'm like, "Of course."
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we'll be doing that at the shop too. I'm very excited.
And Erin's been playing some Skyrim, and she just picked up Yoshi's Woolly World, so we're gonna start that soon.
It is so good.
Yeah.
Michael, I think I might have told you about this a little bit, but like, it's the second best to Yoshi's Island in terms of just responsive, good, clean control, and genuinely well-established challenge.
I actually tried to talk her out of it because she's only played Yoshi's Island, and I was like, "There's a lot of Yoshi games, and Yoshi's Island is sort of at the top of that mountain. Like, it's a formula that they've been ruining since the first one."
Basically, yeah. This is basically the next best thing. It feels fresh and creative, and I like it. It's not just piggybacking so much off of Yoshi's Island. It's the formula, but it's like, this is, it feels like a sequel. It doesn't feel just sort of like hey, people like this, so therefore this again.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
I've been streaming. Okay, that's what I've been doing. When I play stuff, I've been playing on stream. So I just went through Metroid and Super Metroid. Best ending on both.
Saw that.
And started on Zero Mission and played through that once.
Okay.
And I'm now doing the hard 15% clear. Is my next.
Was this your first time through Zero Mission?
It was my second, but it had been about 10 years.
Okay, that's fair.
It was not fresh to me at all.
That's what happened to me as well. Despite knowing Metroid like super duper well, like, yeah, it felt extreme. I went through it again about 5 months ago with Juanita, and it felt fresh as well. I was like, I don't remember half the secrets at all.
Mm-hmm.
But damn, that game is good.
It is. So that's what I've been playing. And also watching Bob's Burgers on Netflix.
That's a good show.
And the new X-Files episodes.
I have not seen the old X-Files very much. I've seen like 3 episodes, so I have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a pretty good run. Well, Nico, let's hear it.
Let's hear it. What have I been playing?
You're playing.
Well, let's see. Well, actually, all right. So, been playing Splatoon for the Wii U because I got that for Christmas.
Great game.
Really, really fun. I've enjoyed it. It's a lot more than I thought it would too, because you know it's just basically trying to do the whole third-person shooters like differently, because they're always all the same, But this one, it does it in a way that has really engaged me. I don't know how. I think I just really love seeing all the ink just go everywhere. That's of my team. It's satisfying.
Yes.
Because that's one thing I really like about the game is the sound design is probably the most top-notch I've heard in a Nintendo game, because when you're like going through the ink and when you're splatting, it's so good.
Feels good, yeah. No, they really got the oral aesthetics. Is that?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
AURAL, not
right. Oral. Yeah.
Oral.
Okay.
Oral aesthetics are good. That's like a penis ring.
That's a tongue pierce.
When I think oral, I think of like a mouth with a penis with a mouth on it.
Oh, okay.
Oh god.
Like
Weird.
Like Tremors.
Right, exactly. Ass blasters.
Nice.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Okay. So
It's
Splatoon.
go to whatever. But all right, and also just yesterday beat Bayonetta on Wii U because I got the second one with the original, and the game's insane. I forgot how insane it was. I never played it, but I remember seeing it.
Yeah, it is insane. Good
And I remember it was like, oh man, I'm here at the end. Oh wait, this isn't the end. All right, now I'm fighting this spoilers. Like this god being Jubileus and like the
God, yeah.
yeah, who's up in space, and it's insane. It was insane.
Pretty magnificent. Yeah, it's hard to top a battle like that because that's just, I mean, you're in the galaxy just fighting God.
Yeah, pretty much. It was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but I suck. Even
It's
though
hard.
there's not much to do besides attack and then dodge, pretty much.
Right. If you're into like just action, commands, like that's all. It's just an action game. But yeah,
It is. It's
great.
it's weird though. It's weird because it's like you think it would be like a lot of beat 'em ups where it's just like press A to win. And it's kind of like that, but it's still a little bit intuitive because you still got to dodge and enemies can be bastards if you're especially on
Play.
the hard difficulty, which I started playing after beating it on normal, and I was like, I can't. It's too much. I'm not that good yet.
What's nice though is you can take the things that you've earned from your original playthrough and apply them. So life bar and items that you have, and that definitely helps out. But it's not easy.
Yeah, it's a game for true skill players.
That's a very platinum sort of risk reward kind of thing. If you put in a lot of effort and time to practice something like that, you'll get good. But it is a lot of dedication.
Indeed, it was nice. And soon I'll be moving on to the second game.
That's maybe my favorite of the past 10 years. I cannot explain how much I'm in love with that game. Bayonetta 2 might just be my favorite game on a Nintendo system.
I played the demo, I remember, and it looked great. And either it's just me or there's Echo.
There's
Oh, might be. Oh, it's from yours, John.
Yeah, because I only have my blue snowball mic over here, so I'm trying to turn down my speakers so that way my mic isn't picking up you guys.
Goody. All right.
Good gumdrops.
Goody gumdrops. I love those things.
Still going, and one more game I guess I'll say, which is nice that you said one of your favorite games of the past while, because this game that I played was one of those, and maybe a surprise or not, but played Undertale, and
oh yes,
that's it. I mean, I don't think I really have to say much.
See, I just started it. Well, I started it a month ago, and I haven't touched it since. But I played an hour, and I loved it, and haven't had time to really play since then. But I know almost nothing. I know pretty much nothing about the game.
Good. Let's hope you keep it that way because
That's what I'm working on. Yeah.
It's a great way to go in blind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's great. It's definitely got its praise that I don't really need to sing, but I really loved it a lot.
Yeah.
It's great, like everyone says, with tributes to old RPGs, and it's definitely the most inspired by Earthbound, of course, which everyone should love, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Hard not to.
And it gripped me.
Good.
With the characters and the awesome soundtrack and the unexpected final boss. But not the final boss for those who have played. If you play it, continue to play it, John, you'll probably know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It was, if I made a list of top 10 biggest surprises in the past 10 years, it would probably be number one or something because took me by surprise.
Okay.
So, that's all I have to say.
I'm
play
excited
Undertale if you haven't.
I'm excited for that. Okay. So Bayonetta, Undertale.
Splatoon.
Not Rhythm Heaven?
Oh, you got a copy. I mean, I play those every so often, but
they're good. Just pick up every now and then.
Did you do you have just the card, or did you happen to get a box copy?
I got a full copy. I bought this when I was out in Japan about 10 years ago.
So you've had it ever. Oh.
Yeah.
Geez.
Yeah, I found it at some store and I was like, I really need this because I'd heard about it. That it was Intelligent Systems had designed it. So I picked it up and no disappointment.
I guess they had some development with it. I don't see their name attached to it, but wouldn't doubt it.
Well, because I think they're the WarioWare team, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. But it doesn't really say Intelligent Teams. It's always just another department of Nintendo. But it's the team that does handle those games, basically.
Okay. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good.
SPD.
SPD?
SPD.
Nintendo SPD does Rhythm Heaven.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe I just assumed it was Intelligent Systems because they were doing so much on the Game Boy at that time.
Yeah.
It's true.
Okay.
And I guess just for a quick mention is just this. So, got an EverDrive, so technically I have the ability to play every NES game ever made. So,
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
and it feels good.
I like the aesthetic of it. I like that they can keep things authentic looking and make it look like you're.
Yes. So I can experience great games like Little Samson and
Mhm.
Panic Restaurant and Dragon Fighter without having to spend the big bucks.
Right. Absolutely. Okay.
So, John,
Yo.
give us the goods.
Right. So I finally, in the past couple weeks, have had a chance to sit down. I got time off last week, barely, and then actually took some time off today. So every Saturday, like, we try to get on to Grand Theft Auto 5 for the PS4 and just mess around. And like, it's a hard sell for some people because like, I'm not like this giant Grand Theft Auto advocate, but 5 impressed me so much that now I am, because I think the game is so much fun to play with friends. Like, you know, the whole story might not be your thing, but the online mode with buddies is some of the most fun I've ever had, just being stupid and running around and just, you know, just not even anything done, not just even like killing people mindlessly, but, you know, driving off of bridges with people in the car, or like taking cargo bobs and picking up trucks full of my friends and then dropping them into like a military base and getting them shot to death. They're like stupid things like that. But as far as like games I've actually been able to sit down and play and like work on, I finished Rise of the Tomb Raider last week, and man, that game I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say like that, like it made Lara Croft like this incredible character, because it didn't feel like it was an amazing story. It was a good story. Like, it was fine. It was like an Indiana Jones movie. You know, you're not going to fall in love with this character particularly, but you know what she's doing. You know why she's doing it. Cool, whatever. But it looked good, and it played tremendously well, and it's such a good setup for like an open world game that wants you to get new abilities and go back and explore old areas and go and explore tombs and solve puzzles, and it just it feels good. So I couldn't put it down. But good stuff. And then a day or two ago I picked up Final Fantasy Explorers.
Ooh.
And it's basically like Monster Hunter Lite is the best way to put it. It's set up just like a Monster Hunter game is. A couple differences are that they you know, give it the Final Fantasy aesthetic and feel. Spells are named Cure and Fire and Fyra and Fyraga and like things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a pseudo Pokemon element to it where you can actually, if you kill monsters, they might drop like the certain type of crystal that will allow you to synthesize a monster to join you in battle as like a partner. Because the game is made for 4 players, and you're actually allowed to go to like this monster lab, make a chocobo, make a cactar, make a goblin, whatever, and then have them join you, level up. Each one has like their own little special abilities, and you do missions. You go, and they say go outside and kill 5 goblins. And you kill 5 goblins, come back to the town, finish your quest. So it's literally Monster Hunter. But I don't like Monster Hunter.
Right. I was gonna say, did they make you like Monster Hunter?
Well, I don't like Monster Hunter still, but because I like the way that this one plays. It's a lot. It's simplified. It's, you know, Monster Hunter I would say is the more hardcore game. If you enjoy the grind like way more, Monster Hunter is geared towards that. But I just was never a fan of the way Monster Hunter played, but I like the idea. And so this one, I just like that it's simple. I like that it's not complicated, that I can, you know, pick up and play really easily without feeling like I need to make like a huge investment. And every time I tried Monster Hunter, like, it felt like it was too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you know, I went and I fought a Ifrit in a cave, then I fought Shiva in an ice cave, and like now I have to go fight a Bahamut, and or not Bahamut, like Ramu and some other Eidolon or whatever. But you can unlock other like character costumes from other games. Like if I go and do like this one mission, I can get like a Genova tier for beating the quest. And with 10 Genova tiers, I can get like the Sephiroth armor, which is just a full, you know, Sephiroth suit of armor with my stupid-looking character's face. So, you know, there's nods and there's fun things, and it's you know, it's basic. I wouldn't say like it feels like a great game, because like it's so simple. It kind of feels like an early gen PS2 game in terms of gameplay, but it's not bad. It's a hack and slash. You can assign abilities, you can buy abilities, you can change jobs. Right now I'm a monk, so I just punch everything, and my chocobo kicks them, and like, I like being able to say that. It's charming and simple. So that's what I'm currently playing. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I like it.
That's what I like about you, John. You really just like, just go. You think positive, and you just try and enjoy a game to its fullest.
I hope so. There's a lot of good games out there, and sometimes they get overlooked. And I'll try. I tried Monster Hunter, man. You might have read my article. I tried the game like 4 or 5 times very solidly, and I could just never do it. Not a bad game. Not for me.
Yeah. Kind of like those like go and hunt and just kill things. That substance isn't enough for me.
I feel like I had a hard time controlling it. Like I felt like everything I was doing was like I was like playing with like molasses in my controller. And so I think that was like part of the hardest part was I didn't feel like I was enough in control of my character.
Did you pre-order it and get the special edition molasses controller?
Yeah, I did for my Wii. Yeah, when I got Monster Hunter Try.
Yeah, then that's what it was.
Filled with jelly. Yeah, so it's been pretty much those. There's a couple of games I want to get into and like sit down and try to finish. I thought about downloading The Witness today, the new Jonathan Blow game.
Yeah, why is he tweeting jars of his own pee?
That man, like, I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like, love the art, hate the artist, because that guy, I don't understand him at all. His creative process is very different than mine, so we don't see eye to eye there. But I love Braid, and The Witness seems like kind of a cool game, so.
Yeah, that was quite a statement. Why does he tweet pictures of his pee?
That's a very good question. I don't know.
He did it. I'm not making it up. He did it.
Totally did. Yeah.
I believe you. I believe you.
Yeah, he straight up did. Maybe it was for Tinder. If you want to weed out the people who don't like that, that's the fastest way to do it.
Yeah.
So,
call me.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. I like it. Okay, so in the world of video games, all right, Nico, I need to know something from you. You are a big advocate for game music, clearly.
CC.
That is like your forte. Pun intended? I'm not sure. So if any like new game coming out, say there's the new Star Fox, there's a new Street Fighter, there's a new Zelda game, there's gonna be like there's a new Pokemon. If you had to take one of like these franchises that's from like a new series that's coming out, or a new series, part of a series that's coming out soon, what would you say is one of like the soundtracks that really stood out to you the most? Like we have the new Zelda coming out, so is there a Zelda soundtrack that you're just like, man, like that's the one? Or Star Fox music that you just listen to and you go, geez, like that just sounds like furry space battles, like. What of these like game soundtracks really stood out to you?
Man, they can do it quick. I do this every weekend. I always have like a thing where I just go into my music that I have and I just listen to soundtracks. Mm-hmm. A lot of course, childhood stuff, and
sure.
And it almost brings me to tears at times because I just think of like all the good times and the power that a lot of these soundtracks have. And
sure, that's important.
Yeah, and with Zelda, it's still interesting, because obviously if we go to things like Twilight Princess, that's a great soundtrack, but it is so long. And that's not really a bad thing if I just, if I was like doing something for like 6 hours and I just have that on the background.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird, because Twilight Princess, recently thinking about it, I think it might be my favorite Zelda game, but for soundtrack it's not in the top 3 or 5.
Mm.
The favorite soundtrack? Okay, jeez.
Yeah, that's a big question, so there's no easy answer for that ever.
No, I just think of the main stuff. And I think for now I'll probably just say Majora's Mask. That is the one of Zelda that really, has a lot of power to it.
Oh, it does. It is melancholy, man. There are some tunes in that game that like.
Yeah, the final hours is. And it's what's great is as a kid it never bothered me. I'm just all like, oh, this tune means the world's gonna end. Let me just go, do the thing because I'm a kid and I just think about the objective and stuff.
Sure.
As an adult, I'm just like, oh my god, this humanity of this place everyone's gonna die, and if I don't do something, I'll disappoint them. And
that's disappointing. That's fair. Yeah. To kill an entire town because you didn't do your job.
Yeah, it's a different set of ideas you're thinking about, or just it's a lot of soundtracks have been that way with me.
Sure.
It's like thinking about it now, it's more powerful.
Mm-hmm. I think the song of healing when the after you beat a temple and the giants come out and
Yes.
they're sort of like singing their song, and they sound like they're in such pain. They sound like they are just being torn apart from the inside. It's such a sad, beautiful, just sound.
Yeah, and when you have to get like the masks from all the people, so you got the dead Goron, the Zora that's dying, and you bury him, and I'm just like, as a kid, it's just like, oh, he's dead, but now I'm just like, Jesus, Link had to freaking dig a ditch and bury this Zora.
Yeah, it's heavy duty, man. They really put a lot of stuff into that game that when you're younger, you're just like, ugh. And now
Yeah,
it's really genuinely upsetting.
it is, and yeah, and oh, good thing for Star Fox is obviously the answer for that would be Star Fox Assault, which a lot of people don't really talk about that or really say good. I mean, a lot of people will praise the soundtrack, but they don't really talk about the game, and it's my favorite because
I love Assault, man.
it does the best of basically OG Star Fox, original or 64, and even Adventures, because it takes R-Wing, tank, and on-ground segments, and you're not always going from like point A to point B. You have the things where you're in an open world and you have to complete objectives. I really liked it a lot.
I also really liked Assault. That game, I think, does not receive the praise it should.
Yeah, and of course that first theme for the first mission, the dun 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 with the orchestra, that is like the best Star Fox theme like ever.
It's pretty beautiful. Good. Okay. Were you ever like a fan of like the Street Fighter games growing up?
Not really. No, I don't think I had a single Street Fighter game.
Okay. What about the soundtrack? I mean, because like especially in the Super Nintendo era, Capcom games were carried with such a strong melody almost at all times that I feel like they sort of like changed that a little bit later, and as like CPSC2 stuff like started coming out, in the PlayStation era, CD quality sound, music to me from Capcom didn't sound quite as like melodic. It didn't have as much of a character to it, but it was still good. But on the Super Nintendo, every character had like a theme for their stage that really stood out, exceptionally stood out. So have you ever like sat down and like listened to that soundtrack just to hear it?
Fortunately not. I mean, I've listened to the Street Fighter 2 soundtrack and like the different versions. I mean, a lot of themes are really good. To me, it kind of just falls flat for me.
I think it's fair. I think without like the association of I'm battling on the Zangief Russian stage, like it might not hold as much impact.
Yeah, even for Capcom, it's low, and
sure.
Yeah, Gao's theme is great, but I mean, even then, that's still just like I don't know. I would pick a lot more better themes from like Capcom in the Super Nintendo era than that.
That's fair.
No, okay. It's all about the obscure stuff for me.
Okay.
Jim Power, Eek the Cat.
Sure.
Oh, dude, there was a Super Nintendo game called Utopia: The Creation of a Nation. That soundtrack is amazing. Found out just like a couple weeks ago, and I was blown away by it.
Okay.
It's literally like, of course, looped. It's like 15, 20-minute tracks, and there's only 5 songs, and the soundtrack's nearly an hour, so that's impressive.
Okay.
And that's Barry Leach who did that soundtrack, and it's times that I just forget it's a Super Nintendo soundtrack. I'm like, oh shit, I'm listening to a Super Nintendo soundtrack. It doesn't sound like Super Nintendo, and these instruments it's so unique.
Okay.
It's amazing.
So I have a question for you now. If you were presented with the opportunity to create like the soundtrack of your dreams for one console, so like if you said I want to make a game or a soundtrack for a game that was like Donkey Kong Country, you'd have access to the entire Super Nintendo like sound system. You could do like 8 tracks or 16 tracks, whatever it ended up being, or you could say I want to stick with the simple NES timbre, or I want to go with Genesis and have like that really bassy twang to it, like or whatever it was. What would you choose?
Jesus. It's so rough. And obviously it has to be something with like its unique sound chip.
Right.
Because it can't be like something from this era where you can create whatever.
Right, yeah, because it's, once you have like, CD-based kind of stuff, it's easy to be like, oh, I'll just do CD quality audio. But yeah, having something that's proprietary.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you got NES, which is my favorite classic, just 8-bit. 16-bit you have to do a lot more. But it's a little bit of more of like a risk with Super Nintendo because there are a lot of Super Nintendo games where the soundtrack is kind of just like all right.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, with like quality of games getting great, there's kind of a thing with some Super Nintendo games where generally the soundtrack isn't even as good as like the game.
Sure.
Now with NES, it's opposite generally because there's a lot of bad games, for most people, and the soundtrack is usually the one thing they always praise, and it's always like the one thing you can look forward to. And Genesis is very interesting. Definitely can do a lot of bad on Genesis, but
Sure.
if you get it right, you can actually.
So I think of Genesis, I think of stuff like Streets of Rage or Toe Jam and Earl, which are just like, they nailed what that sound chip was all about.
Yes.
To the T. Like, you can't recreate that anywhere else and have it sound as good.
It's true. Genesis will actually be interesting. Not to create like soundtrack of my dreams, but to work with it.
Just to mess with?
Because it is the most interesting out of all the retro consoles with its own sound chip. I mean, obviously you could go with like Amiga and Commodore 64 as well, but Genesis is really interesting because when you do it right, you can really just blow. Like, this is Genesis. Like, you can like really show that it can do amazing stuff.
Okay, so assuming that you had like the Genesis, but then if you were to choose NES, you were allowed access to like the VRC6 chip.
It's true that too.
Or
the Sunsoft one.
Dude, Sunsoft. I was thinking about the Gremlins 2 soundtrack today. I wasn't even listening to it. I was just thinking about it. It's in my head. It was great. Because that's one of my favorite NES soundtracks of all time is Gremlins 2.
Oh, it's so good. It's great.
So
I mean, I guess it's kind of a split answer. To create the soundtrack of my dreams, probably NES. But to experiment and do something unique, I guess Genesis.
That's fair. Okay.
Because I would like to make something like, if you ever heard the Superman game on Genesis, that's by Sunsoft as well.
I couldn't pull it out of my head, yeah.
That has a, maybe not memorable, but sounds fantastic.
Okay, I'll have to give that a listen.
And I recently found out the game called Duck Game.
Yeah.
That uses actual, of course, the hardware, sound hardware of a Genesis, the like Yamaha or whatever was in the Genesis, I forget. And that soundtrack is like an exceptionally like this is how you make Genesis music soundtrack.
Yeah. Or with I always think also of Jesper Kid, the Adventures of Batman and Robin soundtrack.
Yes, of course.
Man, that's easily one of my favorites. That soundtrack rocks so hard.
Of course, how could I forget?
Okay, that's pretty good then. So you're pretty much split between NES because it's so nostalgic. You can do so much with that sound chip. It always irks me when I go onto YouTube and I look up 8-bit versions of songs and they're using like just a MIDI version, like a crummy keyboard version, as opposed to like an actual like FamiTracker created, set. And I go, no, that's not authentic. Like you need to have that FamiTracker kind of thing going on.
Yeah,
it's a big difference. Okay. So, Raydon, what about you? If you actually had to choose,
like Dream soundtrack.
Dream soundtrack, yeah, like console.
ZX Spectrum.
Yeah, just cassette tapes. Just Thompson Twins cassette tapes.
Right. Game Gear?
No.
Well, I didn't actually like the Game Gear like sound chip as much. I don't think I disliked it, but like it had.
I was just gonna say you didn't like the Game Gear because I can kind of.
Right, that's fair. I had like a very distinct, it had a distinct timbre to it as well too. It sounded like a very tiny NES in a sense.
Or Master System, basically.
Or Master, yeah, basically what it was. And every now and then, like I was listening to, I was playing Mega Man 9 actually at the store a couple weeks ago, and I was listening to Splash Woman's song, and the main instrument they use in there made me think very much of like Game Gear music, which was really, really weird. But every now and then I'll run across like an NES song that to me sounds like a Master System or Game Gear game. And that's strange to me.
Because I think of like the things that I like to listen to the most is generally Super Nintendo stuff, especially late end Super Nintendo stuff. But a lot of the music that I listen to, like from games that actually moves me emotionally, comes between PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2.
Sure.
Like Chrono Cross and Silent Hill.
And Chrono Cross is maybe like the best general MIDI I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Because like it's straight up not like real instruments, but Mitsuda nails it. Like I had to listen to it so many times before I was like, that's not real, but it sounds 100% like it is. Yeah.
So probably something like that.
Okay. That's almost cheater-ish, but hey, I accept it. That's what you want to
I've been going through a version of DDR that I've never played before on the Wii, and it really makes me angry because they remade a couple of like the classic DDR songs with English translations.
Oh boy.
And they took a song that has like, it's DDR, so like the music is mostly like either synthesized instruments or live instruments.
Yeah.
And they took this guitar, like this J-pop guitar song, and they made it sound like it came from Doom.
Why would that make you angry?
It just does. It feels like such a weird step in a direction. Not even like the wrong direction, but like.
Oh, that's good. Doom. Oh, Doom soundtrack is one of my favorites.
It is really good. Although I get really bored with it as it goes on. Like the first few songs, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it goes rockin', and then it goes kind of ambient and atmospheric.
Yeah.
That's very much like the entirety of the soundtrack for Doom 64 was extremely ambient. And I thought that was actually one of the coolest because it was a lot spookier. It was way more like unsettling and like it wasn't intense. It was just kind of like it was isolated, And I think that's really cool.
Good old Aubrey Hodges, is that how you pronounce it?
Okay. Well,
that's who did it, Dan.
He nailed it.
He's done some good stuff, and
he nailed
Doom
it.
64 is, it's great because when you think of Doom, you're always thinking like that hard rock MIDI or something, but 64 is like we're gonna take it into a new direction.
It's cool because with the new like graphical aesthetic, and they used lighting and like shadow really well in that game. To have a very different feel overall is like this is Doom, but it's not Doom, and that I like what they did with it. Okay.
Ooh. Speaking of a great 64 soundtrack, just to bring this up really quickly.
Sure.
It's actually a game I just picked up really recently, and I think we talked about this before.
Oh,
yeah.
Right now, I think this comes up almost every podcast. Is just Blast Corps.
I love Blast Corps. Blast Corps is probably the first, aside from Mario 64, Blast Corps was the first N64 game I played that really just like engrossed me. Like Shadows of the Empire was good.
Yeah.
And I played a lot of Cruis'n USA, but it wasn't because I was making good decisions with my life. But Blast Corps just absorbed me entirely.
Dude, just banjos and like it had a good variety. I think that's what I liked. It was like a radio station with like 10 different like styles.
Some techno.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
By Graham Norgat. Which
he's great.
It's now I just want to divulge into Rare 64.
Rare in general, man. Even David Wise. I was reading an article about him recently, and I think he had fans that ended up sending him like remixes of the Donkey Kong Country music because this is before people were really distributing or making this kind of stuff and putting it out online. There was no SoundCloud, there's no YouTube, and people would like make these remixes of stuff for him and send it to him on like cassette tape. And I think eventually audio CD at some point, and he was blown away because he was like, I had no idea my music had that much of an impact on anybody because he just was like, I did the music for Donkey Kong Country, and it was kind of a neat little article that I read.
I remember reading that. It's amazing, and it's always nice when people, especially now, composers are exposed to, the love and appreciation that they have created. A really great one is Alberto Jose Gonzalez, who did a lot of Game Boy soundtracks.
Yeah.
There's always praise. I have him on Facebook. People are always thanking him, and he's always so humble. He's like,
he's such a nice guy. Yeah, I'm friends with him on Facebook too. And we actually got a Spanish copy of Smurfs for the Game Boy traded in, so I took a picture and sent it to him.
Nice. I think I saw that.
You probably did, yeah.
I think I remember that too. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's amazing. You do something for a job and you think, this will entertain some people, but it turns out to be most of the time bigger than the game itself.
Sure. For a lot of games, soundtrack is sometimes the only driving force. That's why if I'm playing like a subpar game with an awful soundtrack, I don't care. Like, I will play through certain games simply because the music is so good. But if a game is kind of whatever, and it has a soundtrack that doesn't like push it in any direction. Like Final Fantasy 13, I feel I could have actually pushed through that game if I liked the soundtrack, and I couldn't.
Yeah, there's something to it.
Like
There's something to it when a soundtrack doesn't do it for you.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts.
It does, and
Like
I had one of those games. I forgot what it was. Totally would have one of those games where I just didn't like the soundtrack, and I didn't bother really to play it because of that.
sure, that can make a huge difference. Like watching a
God.
movie with bad audio, like it sets the mood. If you don't have that, like it can be hard to be inspired to keep going.
Yeah, I think I tried to ask this once on the Q&A here about like, is it now? Is it really music now that makes a game? Because back in the day, it's like even with the early computer games, I mean, yeah, those are still fun to play because they have unique ideas and stuff. But now it's like the game doesn't live up with music. I don't know how to phrase this. There's something where music plays into liking a game.
I experienced this I'm just going to talk about this game forever. I'm sorry, guys, but Rocket League has one of the most incredible soundtracks, and they use it so intelligently and so sparsely. And you can even listen to the soundtrack on Spotify. It's really good. It's all done by an EDM producer, so it has kind of its own... Like, it's all one guy, for the most part. I think they licensed a little bit of music, but it's just... It captures that essence of, like, sport without... Which is weird, because you don't think of soundtracks for sports games. Like, they either didn't have them until they had, like, one jingle, and now it's just a hodgepodge of licensed music. But this kind of has an aesthetic and consistency to it that really, like, pumps me up, and it makes me excited to play the game.
That's the most important thing you could possibly do, because I was thinking, like, I play F-Zero GX all the time. So one of my favorite games of all time. If that game did not have the soundtrack that it did, it would simply be, I mean, it's a great game, but it would not be nearly the caliber in my heart. It's like, oh, that's a really cool game with music. It's kind of, the fact that I go to a track, go to Aeropolis, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear that song so I can ramp off of this thing. I can't wait to go to, the lightning tracks so I can, hear, like, this one particular song and, like, the rain is pouring in and, like, it sets that atmosphere. And if F-Zero had bad music, I would probably care so much less overall.
My problem is that I just want to listen to Shotgun Kiss every track.
Every track. Whenever I'm peeing, whenever I'm pooping, whenever I'm kissing a lady with my lips, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I guess. Actually, I guess the way I meant to phrase it was: would games, especially of the high caliber ones, Ocarina of Time, Super Mario Galaxy, Earthbound, would they be as great at games if their soundtracks really weren't as amazing as they are? And the one thing in games that can really be shared and spread and talked about, I guess as much as the game's lore, if the music really wasn't just hit the right spots with the game design.
Yeah. That's actually interesting to bring that up because, stuff like, like Mario Galaxy, like, it's impactful because it gives you this sense of adventure that you've never been given because of the music. But the Zelda games have done something that's tremendously important because, the first one had the recorder, the second one had the little flute, number 3 had the little ocarina that you get from the kid on the stump, and then Link's Awakening had a couple different songs, which is kind of cool. It's like, okay, 3 different songs I can use for different purposes, but the most pivotal of all of this was Ocarina of Time. And without good sound design and a soundtrack, most of the game's appeal, I think, would be tremendously lost because the fact that you're in power of an instrument now that can do so many things, but you have to play it yourself, you're in control of how you use that. And with the layout of the 64 controller, with the C buttons and the A button where they are, you felt extra like, oh, this is an instrument. This is part of the instrument that I'm utilizing to help Link. So that connect between player and character, like, was as integrated as it gets. And while other Zelda games had sort of a musical focus of sorts, I don't think they ever hit that same thing. Ocarina and Majora both because they use the same mechanic.
Yeah.
But that connect was very different. Where the reeds that you play in Ocarina or not Twilight Princess are fine, or like when you're doing the wolf howling thing at the moon, it was there, but it was sort of like a loose reference to the importance of the music as opposed to being integrated into something you had to do. And with each temple, you had a melody that was distinct and it was established. And it was such a part of the game, you know. Because if you want to go to the Forest Temple, you're playing the song, you know, the Saria's song or whatever, and it's vital because you hear that when you're in the Lost Woods. You play part of it yourself to get over there, and then the association is now with that one temple. So like it was ingrained solidly, and I don't think any Zelda game has emphasized it quite the same since then. It's just sort of been like, oh, instruments, Zelda, yeah, they're in there. But Ocarina would not have been the game at all that it is without that kind of sound direction. And that blows my mind how just unbelievable the sound design in that game is. And same with the guy who beat it recently, who was blind, you know?
Yep.
It took some resets and things of the sort, but at the same time, if the sound design in that game is so good that somebody who can't see can beat it based off of that, that's incredible.
And that's where it all comes together.
Yeah, man. I don't know, Koji Kondo and team, like, they did something remarkable, you know, nearly 20 years ago. That blows my mind.
Man.
Right?
It is. It should be like a kind of music theory in schools.
Sure. Yeah. I think it would get people interested if you showed them, like, you know, the importance of what music can do in terms of not just being like a passive element, you know? It's really cool to have even Mega Man, you know, the association, you know, you don't, like, you know, play music in Mega Man, but the association of each Mega Man theme song or boss theme song with their stage is pivotal. You know, the colors and the sound together make something unique for every single one of those games, and that's integral.
It is, yeah. Or when something soundtrack like done by Tim Fallon, where typically people just don't even like to associate or like to think of like the games they did as being mostly good, and it's just they're just like the music's blows the game out of the water. It's its own thing. Like,
dude, Pictionary title screen track is literally one of my favorite theme songs of all time for eternity now.
Yeah, and
like, if I was gonna go to a volleyball game, you know, and come out as like the star player and rip off my robe and, you know, get on the sand and start like smashing volleyballs, that would be the song I would have pumping through the speakers.
That's good. A lot of his tunes, which have an energy, can be played like at a volleyball game, and I think it's interesting with him that Tim Fallon that he didn't he never knew what the game was about. He just wrote music, and they would put it in where they see fit.
Fascinating.
Whereas definitely now, or generally for most, I guess, audio productions, they probably know something about where the music's going, and they can make it appropriate. But Tim Fallon, they were just like, hey, make the music for the game, and he did, and that's why some have said there's like that disconnect where it doesn't seem like it fits because he just wrote it. He just made magic, and it just happened to be a part of this game, whether it be, you know, Silver Surfer, which most people don't like, or it's another bad game, Magic Johnson's Fast Break. It's just like it doesn't fit the theme of the game. I mean, maybe Silver Surfer, but like Magic Johnson and Pictionary, it's like you wouldn't associate this music.
Right. Okay. And that's kind of funny. I actually like there's like a charm of the NES era where that kind of stuff happened with so much, and we can go on, you know, on box art and things like that. But with music specifically, it's fascinating to think of, like, they're just like, what sounds good? Let's try this. And then because it just so happened to be associated with that part of the game, like, it immortalizes it in that respect, you know? That's how it's going to exist from that point on. That's it. You know? That's the theme song. That's, hey Tim, make us a cool song. Okay, cool, this song's awesome. I hope it, you know, it's the theme song of a monster truck crashing into a tank. And no, it's just Pictionary. Right? And that's cool to me. Yeah. Because now that's the association. You know, if you grew up with that and that's something that you remember as a kid, like, that's what it is. It's locked into that.
Indeed.
So it's interesting to sort of inadvertently make a kind of history.
Oh yeah, and it's just so much can be done, or to add and it's so much in depth about it to look into, and definitely the Commodore 64 era was the first with Rob Hubbard, who was like, the music matters to a game. Like, he was like the first real pioneer of being like, music matters, and this is how we're gonna make our games like be really remembered. And it's true because he did great work. And I think that's where it really stems.
If you had to recommend any of his music to somebody who was like unfamiliar with his work, right off the bat, like what would you start with?
With who?
Send somebody, like, you know, here's like something to start with for, like, you know, early video game music primary.
Well, it'd have to start in the ZX Spectrum era and Commodore 64, that whole thing.
Sure.
Because that's real. Like for Commodore 64, probably like Last Ninja 2. That's probably like the most like this is a Commodore 64 soundtrack.
Sure.
And it really went above and beyond because a lot of the soundtracks for Commodore 64s were like 1 or 2 songs, but Last Ninja had like 12 tracks.
That's
for
unheard
each
of, yeah.
Yeah, and ZX Spectrum's a little bit harder to get into, but it's weird because it has 2 forms. It has its original, which is beeper music, which is 1 sound channel, 1-bit audio,
Okay.
which is very interesting. And Tim Fallon really helped make that sound amazing. And there's kind of like a I forget what it's called, like AY. What's it? There's another name where the ZX Spectrum music actually sounds like, has richness to it, and it's not just this 1-bit beeper. But for the ZX Spectrum, just to show someone like this is how music was done. God, what do I? It's so hard. I would have to think of something like Agent X, which Tim Fallon did, or the Light Corridor, which uses the other sound of ZX Spectrum, which Alberto Jose Gonzalez did.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's a lot of it's too much to go through. It's too much.
It's too much.
And you got Jerome Tell too, who is also the master of the Commodore 64. So I would have to just be a teacher and just create a class about listen to this and tell me what you think. This is how music is.
Is there like a class? Is there something you could do about actually teaching video game music in the history of it? Because I think that would be fascinating to see where it came from, what instruments they had, how they had to program music, because they didn't have a keyboard necessarily. They used tracking software. And I remember Alberto released a picture sometime maybe last year, 2 years ago, I don't know. It was on a sheet of paper when he was deployed somewhere, and it was just instruments tracked down on graph paper of exactly, well, here's the drums, and here's the repeat, and here's instrument 1, instrument 2, and it was fascinating. Absolutely fascinating to think of that's where he could view it in his head. Mozart could sit down and just pen something out without actually hearing it audibly, but he could visualize it and put it to paper. And Alberto had to do the same kind of things, and then go home and try it and see if it worked, basically.
Yeah, there'd be so much to it, and it's amazing. It really is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Here's what happens sometimes though. Sometimes there's a company the Commodore 64 will come out and they'll release these games, and it'll start the flood of, well, yes, music's important, so let's go. And then sound design evolves into 4 channels, then evolves into finding ways to expand upon that. And the Super Nintendo comes out, and then the Genesis comes out, and they keep pushing more and more limits. And then by that time, you've had a second iteration of the Game Boy, and you have the Atari Jaguar, and then you have the PlayStation that's on its way. But I remember in 1998, and this is one of the most interesting things of the gaming world to me, is that you have this technology advancement that is incremental. You're seeing it it's going. It's not taking off like crazy, but it's going. It's quantifiable, and you can see the step up from one to the next to the next to the next. And around the same time that Nintendo was like, hey, we got the 64 and we're doing this, and they're like, oh, but our Game Boy has evolved from black and white into this, and so they're doing their thing. And then suddenly, Tiger Electronics was like, oh yeah? Check this out. And they show the Game.com, and it runs at half the frame rate of a Game Boy game. It's still in black and white. And half the games are canceled because nobody cared. And I mean, the 64 was, and the Game Boy was moving. The Game Gear had been out for, 8 years. Tiger. I want to know, what happened. Because who at the marketing team, they were like, well, this thing's gonna flop, so we need a midget for our commercials because that's the only chance we have of selling one of these machines.
Sounds about right.
I don't know what happened because I have a Game.com somewhere, and I have 5 games for it because I bought them used because whatever, Batman and Robin and Resident Evil, and they look and play terribly. But it's interesting to me to think that at the time when things were advancing so heavily and people were making these big steps, it's one thing for Atari to be like, oh, the 64 is on its way out, we'll check this out. The Jaguar 64-bit, check this out. And there's, there are 3D planes, and they look kind of whatever. And the PlayStation's come out. It's like, we're using CD media, and we can do like these polygons, and some games will run in high resolution, and like they're pushing limits. We're integrating CG into our gameplay aspects, and like they're just doing all these things. And then Tiger was like, nobody's gonna see this coming.
Our zone, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I'm impressed by the fact that like, they actually even tried. But maybe they just had like this secret like tech document that had been locked up for 15 years, and then finally they found it. Like one of like the CEOs was like, "This is the next project, right?" And nobody told them that like it was stuffed in an envelope since like 1987, and they released it. But to its credit, it did have, I think, a built-in game. I think it had a built-in solitaire. It did have a touchscreen, and you could buy like a little internet-like cartridge for it.
You could buy a little internet cartridge that hooked up to a modem that was about the size of like. What's the best way to describe it? Probably about the size of a Wii U, actually.
Yeah.
Classic.
So I had this this fantasy when I was younger. And by younger, I mean in college, because I'm an old man. And Pokemon Gold and Silver had just come out for the Game Boy Color, and I remember that it had limited functionality with the IR ports. And I kept thinking, is there ever going to be a standard? Is there going to be a time where I have like this phone port that our phone plugs into, and then the computer plugs into that, so we can get internet? Will there be a time where we can have like little IR ports built into the wall, and I can sit there and play with my Game Boy Color and like zap data to a friend who also has an IR port somewhere else? And maybe a little bit forward thinking, because how would the connection work? How would it recognize who's doing what? Like you might just be connecting to some dude's TV remote. But at the time, I was excited for the concept, and I really wanted this to be a thing. And it didn't happen.
It's almost there though, because we have data transfers through light.
That's true. That's freaky.
So, I mean, your dream is very close.
That's true. I should have told somebody and got a patent, but
yeah.
Oh well, that's life. No, nobody cared. I wanted to trade Pokemon or like send them to like a remote printer or whatever it was. I can't remember. I like the Game Boy printer, by the way.
Yeah, it's got a lot of creepy faces that I don't like.
Like the printer does?
Yeah.
All of them?
All of them. I'm thinking of Game Boy Camera.
That's true, yeah, the Game Boy Camera had some pretty weird stuff.
Oh, fuck. Sorry.
I remember when I imported that, and I took it to school, and it was like 10th grade, I think, and I was showing people, it was really crummy black and white, like, I don't know what the resolution even was.
4:8.
Full screen, I don't think. It was not great, yeah. It was super bad. But it was so impressive to see the Game Boy capturing that, because that's not a system made for that, but they did something. They had a lens, and it turned it into a picture that you.
And digital cameras weren't a thing then, like.
No, you had like a point and shoot. That's all.
You had a LA Cool or whatever.
Yeah, they really marketed like cool cameras that you could buy. Yeah, you'd go buy a camera and then throw it away, over and over on your vacation.
Yep.
Unless you had like you had a Polaroid for your yacht or whatever. I miss it, man. Something kind of cool about watching technology sort of grow and evolve from various stages. So hardware-wise, what are some of the most impressive things that like you guys have seen? Like when like you were growing up and like you saw like some sort of tech or something in like a magazine. What was it that like?
When the two bars in Pong and the ball go back and forth.
Right. Well, yeah, that's that was it, man. That was defining.
That was it. No. Gosh, I mean, I never thought about that as a kid. I'm just always like, oh, this is cool,
Mm-hmm.
Super Nintendo 64, GameCube. I'm just like, different games that I can play.
Mm-hmm.
I never really knew the technical aspects. I guess
Did you
now.
See something like maybe even like a screenshot of like a game in a magazine, and just like you were just drooling because you're like, how I can't even believe that games are beginning to look that good.
Yeah, I didn't have much gaming magazines. I remember when, actually no, I do remember when Paper Mario 2, when it was called Paper Mario 2, was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was enamored. I loved the look of Paper Mario because I had it on 64 and I was just always I was like, yeah, this looks great. But then when I saw it coming for the GameCube, I was like, whoa, that's so neat, and he can become an airplane now. Oh my god, this is so high tech and advanced.
Yeah, yeah. Though in Paper Mario, I remember getting to like the fountain in like the middle of like the square in some city. I don't remember. It's been so long since I played it. And like the water effect was, maybe just like two overlapping like layers that were just coming out of like the middle of the fountain. But I remember thinking it looked so good. I remember being so impressed by that water. And now, of course, it's just like two flat textures that just sort of merge. But I was blown away at the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely more now going back like with my EverDrive and playing games that have just graphically advanced, like tech stuff for like the time. Like obviously like the parallax scrolling in Metal Storm.
Oh yeah.
When I first was like, knowing about retro games and I saw that game, I was like, whoa, that's unique. Yeah. And that, because they had to hand draw each like, whatever like piece of the art to make it look like it was parallax scrolling.
Yeah, the tiles. Yeah.
Yeah, and like games like Crisis Force for the Famicom, which is a Japan-only game. I remember a lot of people saying that like, man, this game was graphically advanced, and I never really just thought about it. I played it recently, and that is a graphically advanced game for a top-down shooter too. It's like, whoa. That and Rekka, so.
I love coming across stuff that like you're just like, wow, how do they, like these companies had to cheat. They had to sort of like find a way that would work, and whether it was like with the sound chip, like what Sunsoft did, or they find a way to make parallax scrolling a thing, or some companies, like even okay, fine, THQ on their stupid Home Alone game for the NES. Kevin McAllister has so many frames of animation when he's just sort of like strolling through his house, and it's impressive looking. It's not a great game, but like. Still, someone somewhere was like, I'm going to do my job super well. And everybody else just...
No one else is.
Yeah, exactly.
Graphic designer Bethesda Softworks was like, I'm going to try and make this my best work.
Right, exactly. So he's the one who got a promotion, everybody else just got fired. But...
Yeah.
And that name was John Skyrim.
John Skyrim. So I remember getting an old like EGM or Nintendo Power or something and seeing a screenshot of Pilotwings 64 going into first-person mode so you could take pictures of stuff in the game, and like you're flying towards like this snowy mountain peak, and I was just like, dude. And I showed my dad, and I was like, Dad, it looks like a real photograph. I was so impressed. I was, because at the time that was the standard. The standard was being upped from what it once was. Even Mario 64, which looked great, was like, well, no, there's much better textures out there, and that's what Pilotwings is aiming to do. And so I was so excited, to see these things and show my parents. They didn't care, but I showed my mom the Donkey Kong Country tape probably dozens of times to make her understand how good it looked, and she was probably just like, oh, whatever, like anything on TV looks better by default because it's real. So I don't think she cared much. But
actually, I do remember back in the day the Super Scope game Metal Combat Falcon's Revenge.
Oh.
Which is hands down one of my favorite Super Nintendo games, which may not seem like
yeah, right on,
seem like a dumb thing.
No, I'm there. I agree.
It's interesting. That's one of the only games to use this unique graphics chip. I think it's the OCB-1. And that game impressed me a lot as a kid, actually. I remember being like, this is so amazing looking. And like how fast like the standing tanks, which were the robot things, like especially in one of the final battles where you just fly across the screen. It was impressive in Battle Clash, but when Metal Combat, it was just like, wow, this is so fast and impressive.
Yeah, I love seeing really fast games on the Super Nintendo. It's like F-Zero still actually blows my mind as a launch title. It felt so fast to me. It still feels, it's a good speed, but
still
Metal Combat is intense. Like, it shakes you.
Oh, and dude, if you play the game on hard mode, it is that constantly, just moving back and forth nonstop. It is insane. Give that a try. It's almost impossible.
I gotta go through that again. I haven't played Metal Combat in so long. So I didn't own it when I was growing up. I just had like the Super Scope 6 and Battle Clash, and Yoshi's Safari.
Good games. Probably the best for the Super Scope.
But a buddy of mine was the one who got Metal Combat, and I played it at his house, and I never bought it.
It's a shame.
It is. I'm ashamed of myself.
And that's a fantastic soundtrack too. Probably one of the most underrated soundtracks for the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, I don't think nearly enough people played, and they would probably like be floored if they got a chance to experience some of those.
Yeah, it is. It is great. It even includes one of the fanfares from Fire Emblem because it was the same composer.
Oh, right.
What's her name? Her. It's like Yuko. Tajuko. It's really complex. I can't really even say it.
You know, Japan.
Japanese.
So, Radon.
Yes, hi.
Like, when you were growing up, like, what was, like, the one thing when you saw it, you were just like, I can't wait to see that, like, in motion. I can't wait to see that in front of me, like, being played.
So, if you were to hang out with me as a kid growing up, looking at games and experiencing games, and I had gaming magazines growing up, I was always, like, picking the worst horse to bet on.
So I can't wait to see what, I can't even think of anything.
Like, so the Super Nintendo didn't look impressive to me. From going from the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo, it was very ho-hum.
They showed off Mr. Nuts.
Yeah, then I was like, whoa, baby, sign me up. And I remember looking at like the cover of Generation Next magazine that like premiered Virtua Fighter, and looking at the characters and being like, these are hideous. Like, what a stupid thing. But one thing that always had me really excited, and you might remember this, John, back when Nintendo was just starting to tease the Virtual Boy, they were talking about Project Reality. And all they had was this ray-traced picture of a bullet train, and I was pumped. All I wanted to do was like learn more about that train.
Everything about Project Reality, the ones that I remember the most was like it looked like an art gallery museum, and it was just like framed pictures of like Nintendo characters on a wall. I was so excited.
Yep. That was my one thing that I was just like so ready for.
That was it? That was the one?
Mm-hmm.
A train.
Yeah, a bullet train. A 32-bit Nintendo bullet train. That's all I knew.
Yeah, I was amped for the 64, man. After, I mean, because, you know, at the time when, like, Rare was pushing out Donkey Kong Country and, like, Killer Instinct and stuff, and you're like, dude, how are they doing this? And then when you start seeing what they're doing on the 64, I remember, I was always big into, like, light and shadows for 3D games, and Mario 64, you know, never did that. And Zelda did it to an extent because Link's, you know, boots, you know, would cast like a small shadow depending on like, you know, some lighting conditions. But I think DK64 had multiple light sources that cast multiple shadows. They were just big blobs, but they still looked incredible. Or Turok 2 had some light sources that would actually reflect real time with the light, and that just blew my mind. I was so pumped.
I don't know if I told you that at AGDQ this year they did a Blast Core 100%. Like all platinum speedrun.
I saw that.
And they had the lead developer on the phone, and he was talking about how when they were transitioning to the N64, Nintendo didn't send them any dev kits. And so they were working with they loaned some workstations from I think it was Boeing that were like $500,000 a piece, and they were just doing all their rendering and like building everything on those.
Wow.
Because they just didn't have N64 dev kits.
Did Nintendo just forget, or they just like figure it out?
They weren't sending them out yet, but they wanted Rare to be developing games for them.
Already? Okay, well, you know, they made it work.
He had some really interesting technical information about the game too. Like, you know, Thunderfist, the big silver robot.
Yeah.
The reason why he has one big hand and one tiny hand is they ran out of space for polygons on the cart.
Actually, I don't think he even has a right or left hand at all. It just has the one hand.
Yeah, he's like a little like nub or something, like wires sticking out or something. They ran out of polygons while they were modeling him.
I feel like I might have heard that somewhere, maybe from like the Rare Replay interviews or something. But that is so good. Is to think that like it's literally a technical limitation.
Yeah, it's stuff like that that's always great to hear with developers.
They couldn't take out like a handful of polygons from like something else, a railroad tunnel that people drive by.
He said that it's funny that because they said that the explosions that the game renders whenever you blow something up, they take up like half of the game's or a quarter of the game's memory.
Oh, because they're all just gigantic, like bitmaps.
Yeah.
Like animated, and they look unbelievable, but there's 20 different colors of explosions. There's purple and green and orange and like okay. That's really funny. Yeah, I can imagine those probably took up a ton of memory.
Yeah, it's impressive stuff. It still amazes me how they made Donkey Kong 64. because that was pretty much one of the largest games of that time. And I'm just like, how do they do this with the graphics and the music, which is like there's like 200 tracks, all done by like Grant, and that's like really, how did he create all this in what, like 2-3 years maybe?
Yeah, they did put a lot of work into that, and they nailed it.
They did.
And I remember being pretty pumped for Conquer. I remember when I first I was on IGN, .com back in, I think it was 1999 or 2000, because I had woken up early for school because IGN said they're going to release the trailer, and I woke up at like 6 so I could start downloading it on our connection, because I knew it was like probably like a 25 meg trailer, but I knew it was going to take like 2 hours to download. So I downloaded it and I was watching it before school, and I was stuttering and like trying so hard, and I was blown away. I was so impressed. It had all the speech, and it had like incredible draw distance, and of course it was bloody and poop filled and like all that nonsense. But I was pumped for that game too. And then Perfect Dark. Oh my god, that game I'm still impressed by.
Well, to be fair, with that game in 64, or not Perfect Dark probably, but they needed that expansion memory card for 64 and Majora's Mask. Yeah, those are the two that needed it. But it helped with Perfect Dark.
It did, yeah.
Amazing.
And it enabled you to play the single player, so that was nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise I think you could only play, like a couple maps on multiplayer, 2 players?
Yeah, and like the firing ranges, I think, too.
That's funny. Yeah, what a difference that little card made. What, bumped it from like 1 meg to 4 megs, I think, right?
Pretty much.
That's crazy. That's laughable. Like, like you couldn't sneeze, 4 megs. I don't know what that means, but it doesn't make any sense. Like nowadays, that's so little. If you're at a computer with 4 megs of RAM, you could do nothing.
Yeah.
Like you could open up Word, maybe. You could open up Notepad.
Yeah.
John, you're breaking my spirit right now.
Why?
You convinced me to finish my first Mario Maker course on this system that I'd already had half done.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to upload it right now, and I never want to play it again after I upload it. It's the worst. It's so bad.
Like, bad as in not fun?
No, well...
I hope so. I mean, I don't know. We'll find out.
I think it's fun in the sense that it has a very, good progression of reveals.
Okay.
But it is frustrating as all fuck.
Oh, dear.
Because, the Ferris Bueller level...
Yeah. Parker Lewis.
That's right.
Not even Ferris Bueller.
What's this level going to be called? Is this the Ferris Bueller level?
The name of this level is Control is an Illusion.
Oh.
Sounds great.
It's a hoop.
Nico, do you have Mario Maker?
Yes, I do.
Have you made... Have I played any of your levels? I don't know if I've seen any of your levels or played any.
I have not, no. I am a terrible creator of stuff, and that's unfortunate, because Mario Maker is great in every aspect.
John was there to witness me being like, I'm not going to make any levels in this game, and then immediately was like, I'm going to make all the levels in this game.
Yeah, you got very addicted.
If I am, I'm basically going to carve and copy levels from NES games, which I think I had some plans from, like some Sunsoft games and,
I wanted to do that, too, just, take really weird games, this is the first level of a Styanax.
Weird.
But in Mario.
That would be weird.
I would like that. You should make the towns from Zelda, too.
Would you look at that?
Yeah, see?
Yeah, cool. I guess it doesn't have to be playable. It could just be a cool aesthetically looking level, but I want it to be one of the games, or make the first level in Jim Power. It wouldn't really work because, nothing moves as fast as Jim Power does, as in enemies.
Some crazy parallax scrolling.
Oh god, yeah, that's another. Oh man, yeah, that's a game. If talk about it now, that did impress me recently, a game like that. The 3 layers of parallax scrolling that scroll opposite of what parallax scrolling should.
Yeah,
to the left and a faster. No, it scrolls to the right, and the 2 furthest layers scroll faster, a little bit faster than you.
Mm-hmm.
That's messed up.
It's pretty counterintuitive, and I kind of like that they just. I don't know if they were messing with people or what their plan was. It's with the 3D glasses. It was supposed to sort of feel different.
It was.
Mm-hmm. Impressive. Okay.
It is impressive, but yeah, I gotta get down more on Mario Maker.
Let's give it a shot. Just make some simple levels and try it out. I love just messing around, and even if I don't upload level, I just love fudging with things to see what you can do. People are creative, though, man. I think that's a very cool tool that people have been using with that, and I'm very happy that Nintendo has done that and supported it fairly well through the coming months, through the past months, and hopefully through the coming months.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be everyone's favorite game for a while.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, yeah, it's great. But my favorite will probably always be Tropical Freeze, Dungeon Country.
Phenomenal game.
I love that game.
It's astounding. So good. It's hard too. I'm still working on fully completing it, 100%,
Really?
200%ing it.
I already did that.
Yeah, I need to. I haven't played it like since a couple months after it came out, and I was recording myself going through all the hard mode and getting all like the letters and stuff, and then I just stopped like halfway through. I think World 3. So
Shame.
never. I know. I need to go back and finish it because I love that game.
You should. And be consistently praising David Wise's work.
Yep.
David Wise's work.
Always, man. If there's one composer you could work with, if you had to choose one composer and be like, I'm gonna work, they're gonna like make a game soundtrack with you.
Oh, come on, jeez. I mean, David Wise has had the most, like, from NES, Super 64, and other stuff like the GBA and the DS? No, I don't think he did a DS game, but he did, that. But I don't know. There's almost too many. And to think of like something of old composers.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot that did great stuff. There's a guy named Neil Baldwin. Probably work with him.
The final Baldwin brother.
Or no.
Everybody's not actors, and he was like, what, guys?
No, or maybe Jerome Tell. Jerome Tell is probably fun to work with him, actually.
What has he done?
He was considered like the greatest Commodore 64 composer.
Okay.
And he did a lot of great stuff on the NES. Only a few though, like RoboCop 3, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Alien 3, and Overlord.
Okay.
And did some Master System Game Boy. It's I don't know. This is a hard one. And I'm not a music guy too, so I can't really say like, oh yeah, I can work with this guy because he does things like this. If I just sit around and be like, make the note like that.
Okay. Make this quarter note into an eighth note. That's a good note.
Yeah. Probably like,
That's totally cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really a music guy, unfortunately, to answer that well.
So who's your favorite like current composer who's like doing music like right now actively for games?
I mean, technically, David Wise is still working, with our Chocolate Freak, but for someone who's maybe been around and still doing work, actually, Jerome Tell is still doing work today with his company Maniacs and Noise, but for at least something of a composer that has been working for a while, I mean, look at my new games, and it's like, it's all Nintendo, so.
Right.
I mean, basically, whoever like the new Koji Kondo is, what was it, Toru Minagishi?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's basically like kind of taken over like as the main kind of composer for a lot of Nintendo's games, and he's been around since I think the 64 era or even Super Nintendo. So
for a while, yeah.
Yeah, I guess probably that guy.
Okay.
Or girl. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it though. Unfortunately, I think it's a guy, but. A lot of great work. Did the Splatoon soundtrack, which is also like great.
Oh yeah.
I think he did the Super Mario Maker as well. Was on the sound team. I'm gonna take a quick look at that.
Sure thing. What about you, Radon?
Hitoshi Sakamoto.
Oh, that's right.
Current composer. Tactics Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy 12, Gradius 5. He did the new Odin Sphere game that's coming out, Valkyria Chronicles. He basically scores all my favorite games, and his music is so varied too. Like he can do really sort of like traditional RPG sort of war songs, or he can do really creative electronic music as well. He did Vagrant Story. He did Gauntlet 4 for the Genesis. I mean, he's been around for so long.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. That's a great one.
He is one of my favorites.
Final Fantasy 12, man. That's
Super Back to the Future 2. He did that one.
That's funny. That's a great
Right.
job. Okay.
Yeah. well,
Juan.
Whew. Right now, I'm really into Jake Kaufman because
Oh,
I keep
yeah,
visiting Shovel Knight.
I feel bad. Jake's been around since the Game Boy era.
He's been doing stuff for some time, but man, like he's a Shovel Knight gets me, man. Like that, I just feel whenever somebody. If you go to his YouTube page, I think for a while he was doing this thing where he was like mixing up like styles of like this style of music to go with this game, and he was doing like these weird like sort of mashups and stuff. And he did a Mega Man one called Mega Mensch, and it's this incredible Jewish remix of Cutman's theme. And like he nails it. It's super duper great. But Shovel Knight, I'm so into the Shovel Knight soundtracks. They put it on at work the other day. And it just feels like, dang, this is if like many of the best NES games came out and like turned into like the best NES game, Shovel Knight would sort of be like, yeah, this is what happened because of that era. I'm in love with Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight's great.
Yeah.
You played Plague of Shadows?
Yes.
Of course. I think I may have seen that than you did.
Yeah, I think I posted like a brief little video on it when it first came out.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I loved it, man. And they got more on the way, and they're talking about they want to make a Shovel Knight 64 and have it feel the way like that Mario 64 felt when you experienced that for the first time. And I feel those guys could probably nail it.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah,
would
polygons,
would it actually be kind of like crappy-ish 64 polygons, or like maybe more refined?
A big circular shadow and like some flat images, for trees that rotate face you all the time, like corners that work out and things like that. But I think it'd be a lot of fun to see what they could do if they could actually capture the feel properly.
Yeah, which I'm sure they could do it in. Also, I don't think the 64 graphics are bad when they're done like Mario 64.
Sure.
I never really felt like, and there was never one of those people that really disliked like the 64, like how the polygons. They look better than PlayStation. I'll say that. PlayStation, there was really like there's like muddy with like certain like polygons or textures or like the graphics.
What was weird is 64 had like the anti-aliasing and the blur, but PlayStation would have like the textures that would warp. And so I remember in Twisted Metal, like the textures in the ground for like for lines, when you're driving, like the road lines would like warp zigzag back and forth when they're at a certain point. And I remember it used to drive me nuts trying to figure out like if it was something wrong with my system at the time, because I didn't know. I just was like, why does this look bad? But, yeah, I think the 64, the charm of like a lot of the early stuff, especially when it comes to like Pilot Wings and Mario and things like that, were that they were simplified so they weren't trying to look realistic. And as games tried to go in a more realistic direction, you had that disparity of like hands looked bad or arms looked bad or proportions looked bad or things like that. Turok, I think, did a pretty good job, all things considered. That's one of the better looking, we'll say, mature style games. But whenever somebody would capitalize on style rather than like trying to look realistic, it left a bigger impact,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Parappa.
Oh man, I love Parappa. I would kiss Parappa all day.
He's got big doggy lips.
Kiss his flat little weenie.
What? Just, I think I heard that right. So
yeah, you totally
you did. You did.
Yeah, I'll get like a paper cut like the Joker. That's what would happen.
Okay. I got it.
I hate my level. I hate it so much.
Yeah, maybe we should have a Mario Maker podcast.
Like a game jam.
Yeah,
it's fun. Like a game challenge, and we'll all make a level over like the course of an hour, and then spend the next like hour trying to like beat each other's levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I miss the retro music challenge you used to do, John.
I know. I want to do more of those.
I think I tried to mention if like, I don't know if I mentioned one time. It was like, if you want me to do them, I'll be in charge of that and upload it on the channel or whatever.
If you want to, I have zero qualms with that, and you can put it on the channel. If you want to do that, I will give you full access because I just started running out of time. My main thing was like time was not on my side as I continued to do those. So
And if you have like maybe I guess I forgot where there were prizes, right? Like a game code to like a Steam game or whatever.
It would sort of depend. Yeah, it ended up getting a little expensive for me as well too. So I have to sort of figure out like
I guess it'd be like a once a month prize thing, and the others are like for fun, just to enlighten the people with knowledge of music.
Yeah, I think I could do like one like a month that's worth like some sort of monthly prize, and then like the rest of them could just be a cool try this out because it's fun.
Yeah, because I've gotten over the years, it's been a while since like knowing or when I first came into your store and all that and did the challenges like 2-ish years ago or so. A lot of knowledge has been gained.
Yeah.
But it's just those times, man.
Absolutely.
Good times. I need to come back. So, we can hang out.
Seriously, yeah. Next time you're down here, let me know, because you got to check out the new store.
Yeah, and I can sleep in that room right there, just with all the games and all the collectibles, and just be like,
Couches are comfortable, man. It's nice. You dig it.
I think I really would.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. I gotta plan that soon.
Okay. So, I'm impressed. Radon, your computer hasn't shut down in 2 hours.
We've been having a very safe conversation.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, nothing illegal's been mentioned. That's fair.
So the FBI, no.
Yeah. I'm familiar with those guys, man. If you want to know, like, I'm familiar with the FBI.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that stood for FBI that wasn't FBI, what it stands for.
No. In high school, I counterfeited money, and the FBI came to my house. That's what happened.
Damn it, John! No!
Yeah, no, like, I had an incident. Yeah. And right after I turned 18, so my timing was perfect, by the way.
Yeah. Because they can't get you. If you do a crime before you're 18, the second you turn 18, it's forgiven.
Exactly. Right after. Seconds after my birthday. No, it was bad. And it was more that I was involved in something than I was actually, like, that I did anything. But they don't care. That's enough,
Yeah.
I had purchased a scanner, and a friend of mine, long story short, a friend of mine used my scanner to scan in money, send it to himself, and then print and slightly distribute. It wasn't like widespread, but it was enough to be like a thing. And so I showed up to my house one day after I had gone and bought my first porn. I turned 18, and FBI was at my house. And they're like, Jonathan Sakura, and I was like, yes, this is Federal Bureau of Investigation Agent Tiano. I'm here to like talk to you. And I was too scared to like know that I didn't have to like let him in. But so I let him in, and then we talked, and it was awful. And then I thought I was going to go to federal prison, and so it was pretty much the worst thing ever. But I didn't. I survived. I did my time. I didn't go to jail or anything. I just had to do a ton of community service, and it was terrifying, man. It was truly the most terrifying thing that's ever happened.
I know that feeling. I haven't done anything really illegal breaking, but I've involved in like doing something that I shouldn't, and being caught, but being let off.
That's good. Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. Don't come to my house. I'm not counterfeiting. I'm not doing illegals. Don't say not like that either.
Is it illegal to do an illegal, or just to like give them like refuge?
A home. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they just are there for the hour, I think it's okay.
That's fine. Yeah. Come over. I'll be done in 20 minutes, and you can go back to Mexico or whatever.
Yeah, as long as I don't know if you're paying them, it's illegal on multiple accounts.
If they pay you,
that's illegal on one count, I think.
It makes it legal.
In what?
Pay
like, what would they have? Tamales?
Yeah,
I would do it. Yeah, I'd do it.
Oh yeah, for food.
Yeah.
Come to my house, I'll bang you, and then I get a free tamale, and then you can go home.
Yep.
That is the best exchange. Why would you not do that? Yeah. We should make like some little like down on the border, some little like
tamale brothel.
Yeah.
A tamale brothel.
Yeah, we gotta be careful. Radon, your computer's gonna freeze.
I know. I don't care. All I care about is beating this stupid level.
Can you not beat your level?
No.
How long have you been trying?
Probably the past like 30 minutes.
I don't want to. Well, I want to play it.
My Wii U gamepad is starting to run out of batteries because.
We can't end this until you beat that level.
Well, I have to edit it some more apparently. So.
Dang it.
Well,
Yeah, I keep getting to the halfway point and realizing that it's not as well built as the first half is.
that happens. That happens.
And since you have to beat the whole thing from the start to upload it, and from every checkpoint,
hmm
which is really frustrating. It makes me want to take the checkpoint out just so I can upload it that much faster.
It's good, but it is a good design, so that way, people were doing this weird trick where they would place like a checkpoint like halfway inside like a brick. So like if you were running on like say like a top level, okay, if you were running on the top right here, the checkpoint was like halfway inside. So if you hit the checkpoint on your way over, which you had to because it was like a small section, when you respawned, it would actually start you like a small room beneath that. Like a door or something, or you could just trap somebody and be awful. But they were doing like some weird thing along those lines.
Weird.
It was kind of neat, I guess.
You're kind of neat, I guess.
I'm pretty neat, I guess.
I'm neat.
I want some meat. So you are great. You're
Meat.
Thanks. I'm wearing one of your shirts as I do like every week.
I know you got the shirt on. Radon's got the shirt on. I've just got Ninja Turtles on today. So
Oh, nice.
you know.
Nico's
Oh, yeah,
wearing
he
my
is wearing
favorite
it.
Gamers Anonymous shirt.
The Sonic one?
The Oosh.
Yeah, the... Ooh. The great
Yeah, we were at an event, and some dude like saw like half that shirt like folded across the table, but he didn't see the bottom where it said Green Hill Zone.
Visit Grill. Yeah.
And he asked if we had the Ooh shirt, or like how much it cost or whatever.
That's like a Family Guy joke right there.
Yeah, totally.
Or that Family Guy joke about it's this message in my cereal. It says ooh or soup. Peter, those are Cheerios. It's a pretty good one.
It's good.
Yeah, man. And then definitely next time I'm gonna have to get another one. I mean, I got like 5, and I got a great little repertoire of this Ninja Turtle, the black and white with like Bowser, Ryu, and Wily Castle, the Plum.
The very first shirt.
Isn't there one more? Don't I
We
have one
have
more?
several more now. We have the one that Radon is wearing, which is exclusive to the store. We have punch-out shirts that come in either pink or yellow. Let me see. That actually... Oh, and then we have one more that was like an exclusive at the comic convention a couple of years ago. And it's like a panel of like 6 different comic strips of like various video game characters dying. Like Mega Man's getting his guts ripped out, and Donkey Kong is like standing over like, Pauline's like hanging body, and Samus is like in Ridley's mouth holding it open so she doesn't get crushed to death. It's a really cool looking shirt. I'll see if I have an extra one.
Yeah, actually, I would have another one from the thing about your the Indiegogo when your store, when that terrible flooding happened.
Do you have that one?
No. I didn't know if you had the printings done or because that project's been going on for a while, and I know because of the busyness that's been like a.
I've been crazy busy, but yeah, I sent out emails a long time ago, and about half the people responded with their addresses. So
I think I responded to mine. I remember. I swear I responded because obviously I was like, yeah.
I'm not sure, but I'll go ahead and send you one because I still have them, like any of the ones that like have not been sent. So I'll send that your way. That's no problem.
Yeah, the Wind Waker, that one with you as Link and the other guy was the boat.
Buckley, yep.
Yeah, Buckley.
Yep. Yes,
that
sir.
looks so cool.
Yeah, I like those.
I need to wear it. I gotta have you on my body, John.
Well, let's do this. I'm all about it. It's my job.
And your job is a hard-working one.
To get people on my body for all the hard work.
Indeed.
Okay. Well, it's been approximately 2 hours since we've started.
You've gone 3 hours before. We can do like another hour.
You might be able to,
No, if you don't want.
Well, we'll probably cut it short here pretty soon. You'll meet like a friend for super late dinner, cereal dinner, actually.
Sweet.
Like repeated dinner?
Yeah, exactly. Cereal S-E-R or C-E. No, S-E-R-I-A-L. I don't know. Yeah. Cereal mom.
Cereal.
I'm gonna go meet cereal mom for cereal breakfast.
Yeah, don't let it be Captain Crunch. Hurts.
That's really funny that you mentioned that.
Oh my god.
I'm prepared, man.
Well, all right, you can have a Captain Crunch, but be warned.
Well, eating it dry is the problem. Eating it regularly, I think, is fine. But the true challenge is to like eat a microwave pizza the moment it gets out of the microwave, but like press the hot cheese into the roof of your mouth so you destroy it, and then eat nothing but hot Captain Crunch. That would be bad too.
That's a funny thing. Sounds like a great challenge.
Yeah, if you don't like somebody, you should do that. Yeah.
Eat this hot pizza and then eat this Captain Crunch raw.
Right. That's on What Would You Do with Omar Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
Or Omar Gooding and Cuba Gooding Jr.
Right.
Omar Gooding was just regular.
I thought you were like rebooting the show with Omar Gooding's.
Omar Gooding's son.
Yeah.
Donnie Jeffcoat and
the girl.
The girl, right. That's exactly it. The girl. I don't remember her name.
I don't either.
Donnie Jeffcoat. There's just two of them.
The future Mrs. Jeffcoat.
Yeah, exactly. It's inevitable. Two white people on the same show.
It's what the fans want.
Right, exactly. That's how they respond to marriages based off of fan feedback. So, Nico.
So, John.
Growing up, what was your favorite Nickelodeon TV show?
I didn't really watch much Nickelodeon. I mean, SpongeBob's the classic, early SpongeBob. That's always an answer for probably a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think there was another show. I forget. This would be, I guess, early 2000s, right? Mid 2000s. Yeah, probably early 2000s. But
Very Odd Parents.
Yeah, that ran on Nick. So I guess that would count. Yeah. That's another one. Yeah, that's one for sure. Yes.
Fairly Odd Parents.
Mm-hmm.
I've never
John,
seen the show.
Did you hear the movie news that came out today?
I did.
What do you think about that?
What?
Well, as long as it's cartoons that I'm familiar with, because I'm not familiar with half the Nickelodeon cartoons that are popular.
What's going on?
So they're making a Who Framed Roger Rabbit style movie with classic Nicktoons like Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life, Real Monsters.
So those are the ones that I'm familiar with, but I think they're going to be doing some of the newer ones as well too. So it's like a true like Nicktoons like super movie.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. That is oh wait, no, I remember another one. Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron. I never saw that either. I just remember the video game.
I played his theme song a lot in Taiko Drum Master.
Jimmy Neutron's?
Yeah.
Is it in Taiko Drum Master?
It is, as performed by Bowling for Soup.
Weird. It's a very strange license.
They also had the Dragon Ball Z, the American Dragon Ball Z theme song on there. Rock the Dragon.
That's kind of cool. I like that they would do like special, like kind of extra stuff. And then, okay, I don't know if you remember this. So Donkey Konga came out, and it was like, here's some, there's, I think a little bit of contemporary music, but there's also like a couple classic songs, maybe some classic waltzes or like the Tetris theme or something like that. And they had like a Mario song and a Zelda song. They were thrown in there, and they're like 40-second songs, but they were still in the game. Mm-hmm. So in Japan, Donkey Konga 2 came out, and 3, and I think 3 especially, they were like, well, what if we release all these cool like Nintendo songs? There was like 20 unlockable Nintendo musics, and that was really exciting. Whereas the marketing team for Nintendo of America, they were like, well, let's just take away all the Nintendo music and put in stuff like Good Charlotte.
Yeah. No, Donkey Konga 2, if it's been a while since you played that game, Donkey Konga 2, you could legitimately have sex with someone, too. There is a lot of booty jams on that soundtrack.
You have to install the sensors from the drums on a lady's bottom, so when you're hitting them, like you're beating them.
It's a lot of drum beating.
Yeah, exactly. And they have to scream into her butthole to activate like the claps.
What?
It's weird.
Yeah, why would they do that?
It's a weird company.
Also, isn't Donkey Konga 3 Japan exclusive?
It is.
Correct.
That sounds terrible.
So the one that they
the best one.
The one that they finally did what everyone wanted. They're like, but nah, they didn't like the first two.
I wonder how well 2 even sold. I'm curious about that.
I think I got 2 before I had 1. Oddly enough.
I loved Jungle Beat, man. That is one of my favorite platformers I think ever. But only the GameCube version, because the Wii U version, like you can use like the remote and nunchuck, and it just does not feel the same. It's not the kind of precision. Still fun, but Jungle Beat is one of the best platformers I think I've ever played.
Oh no, unintended consequences, my level.
That's what happens. The learning curve.
So I put a Bowser at the end, basically designing him to just fall as a gag. Like, here's this giant Bowser, but he just falls immediately and dies.
Yeah.
But since he's Bowser, he starts breathing fire before he shows up on screen.
Oh, wonderful.
That makes things challenging.
I may have to delete him now.
Make it just like a big boom bar or something.
Maybe.
Yeah. Boom boom.
I wish you could put boom boom in.
Oh wait. Oh yeah, you can.
Well, with that, I think it's time to wrap up. I'm going to go ahead and say all the things that I'm here to say, which is thank you guys for watching, and be sure to go to screwthetruth.com, where you can find all the uploads of our previous sessions. You can also listen to the AM cast from our buddies Adrian and Morgan, and you can check out cool other stuff as well too. Screwthetruth.com, garetro.com is our website. We'll be reformulating that very soon. You can go to our Facebook page, Gamers Anonymous. You can go to our YouTube channel, which is actually Sacula, because they end up putting most everything there instead. Instagram, Twitter, GA Retro, Snapchat now, GA Retro. You can go to all these places, and I'll try to communicate with you if I can remember to. So, is there anything else you guys need?
I need an adult.
To help you beat the Mario Maker level?
Yeah. I'm just going to save it. I'm going to come back to this later. This is really infuriating.
Can I get a large pizza with Big Red?
Yes. Like the gum?
The gum soda, basically, yeah.
I forgot that there was a Big Red soda. Okay.
Yeah, okay, how about a Jones soda?
Smoked salmon pate Jones soda?
No, like
That's
delicious.
The
delicious flavors.
like grape or like something cool. Lime.
Blue lemonade. The blue one. Give me the blue one.
Delicious.
I got like 6 of those in my fridge. I'm probably going to go drink them after
That
this.
sounds good. I don't have anything in my fridge except for some chicken. And hate?
Hate, yeah.
Hate.
Just have hate in the fridge.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a room full of all this gaming paraphernalia, but like one thing in the fridge.
One thing in the fridge. Yeah, exactly. It's more important for me to collect a Alucard figure than it is to have anything to eat.
To collect a dinner.
To collect a dinner, yeah. I don't collect a dinner anymore. I just end up throwing away out of my bottom later, so. Yeah.
Yeah,
all right. Okay. Oh, cool. Thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for being on the show, Nico.
Of course. This is, yeah.
I appreciate you being there in case the FBI stole me.
Once again.
Yeah, once again, like they always do.
They always do, every time.
Weekly. Yeah, this is probably the best it was going to get for the next couple months, probably. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that inconvenience for you has gotten me to be back on. I'm welcome to come on again anytime soon. Don't forget about me, please.
Oh, we won't. We'll do this again regularly. We already have some other guests lined up that we need to have on. I have a friend who works over at Warner Brothers, actually, and she said she would like to be on the show. We have really cool conversations. She's somebody I went to high school with. Really cool chick. Super cool, super nice, super pretty. She knows what she's talking about, and she's fun because she's not just into games, she's into industry talk. So it's really fun to have conversations with her. So nice. Getting feedback from people like us as well. So we'll talk to her soon. A friend who lives out in Japan, she might join us on the show at some point as well. She's big into lots of classic video games, loves Earthbound, loves Final Fantasy VI, loves NES era. She's just super cool. A couple of the folks as well too. But yeah, I think we should start cycling through guests again more regularly. Because
okay.
Not bad having some variety on the show.
Yeah, guests are good.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, thank you guys for watching, and if there's anything any of you ever need from me, be sure to give me a kiss, and I'll give you whatever you want.
Yeah, and if you need 8-bit music in a pseudo-stereo format, we got 309 YouTube channel. Check me out.
WeGuy309 YouTube. Check it out. He's been doing awesome stuff. His music, basically remixes, are just stereo versions of classic NES, and it sounds great. So go take a listen. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure. Have a good night, and don't die, even though you're going to eventually. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Don't die now.
Yeah, don't. Unless you're dying while you're watching this, in which case I told you not to.
We'll miss you.